What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I'm your host, Robert, and today I am finally circling back to Steel of the Celestial Shadows. So, this is a series that it's been almost a year since I talked about Volume 1. And so, I'm currently recording this on Christmas Eve just to give y'all context for time. But I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to get back to the series, and there's been 3 volumes since, with a fifth one coming out in a few weeks in January. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and catch up. So, just as a refresher for those of y'all who might not remember, Still of the Celestial Shadows is the series where the main character Ryodo, he has an ability that basically doesn't let him touch steel, or basically like steel warps and stuff whenever he tries to come into contact with it. So that's everything from money to obviously swords, household utilities, etc., etc. And so in that first volume, it was kind of like him discovering more about his ability, meeting this lady named Suki, who helps kind of basically give him a new purpose in life. And then the first volume kind of ended off with them having to deal with this guy who has the ability to control water. So I've caught up, and shout out to Viz, because since I originally covered the series, or whatever, they have all of the current chapters on the Viz Manga website and app. So all I think it's 32. Let's see, 34. So all 34 chapters are available to read on the Viz app slash website. So, and man, it was a great binge read, which is why I am here, because I got a lot to catch up on. So, obviously, this will contain some spoilers for everything from volumes 2 through 4, which is chapters 9 through 34. So, I don't even know where to begin, y'all, but I'm gonna kind of just try to talk through, and hopefully, this makes sense. But so since where volume 1 ended off, whatever, things kind of picked up with Ryudo, seemingly not fully remembering everything that happened or whatever. And so basically, we ended up discovering that there was a character. Um, I can't remember the character's name, but basically, it was a character that works with the water guy whose name was Dosuke, who could create a amnesia hex, and so that's what was leading Ryudo to not remember anything about Suki, which was his wife's name, or even his I can't remember the name of his uh I can't remember if it was like a family person or just like the older guy that was kind of helping him take care of stuff around the house, whatever. But anywho, so this hex got put on him. He lost his memory. And one thing that I enjoyed about reading and catching up on these volumes is kind of how we were getting introduced to a few characters here and there, and then slowly seeing everything and everybody start to interweave and intertwine. And speaking on the themes of intertwining, before I continue with the story stuff, a cool thing that I just noticed right before I started recording, because I was looking at all of the manga covers, and I noticed they basically are all kind of connected in a way. So on the cover of volume 1, you have Suki in the background with kind of like the more like realistic art style, with Ryudo in the front, and then you go to volume 2 with Ryudo in the back, and then this new girl named Aki, which I'm gonna get to in a second, her kind of in the front. Volume 3, Aki's in the back, and this new kid, Haratake, is kind of in the front. And then volume 4, Haratake's in the back, and then the Tengu guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he's in the front. And then same thing. Now the Tingle guy is in the back. So I love how each of these covers are kind of like teasing and leading a little bit into the next. Though with volume six, I'm not sure the context of this in relation to the pattern of the previous five. But anywho, that was just like a neat little detail I wanted to point out. But yeah, so with volume two, like I said, we had the kind of amnesia thing, and then we got introduced to this new character named Aki, who she's a traveling medium, kind of going around, sort of telling fortunes, sort of in a way. But she's not 100% blind, but her eyesight is very poor. But we discover that she has the ability of basically foresight, and so a couple of ways that this is displayed is if she comes into full contact with somebody, like direct contact with their body, then she basically can see their death. She might not necessarily know like when it's gonna happen, but she knows that okay, hey, this person is gonna die. And can kind of like get like a rough look of like their surroundings or whatever. And then if she gets like a piece of clothing or like a piece of like hair or fur from an animal or whatever, she can see 2 hours into the future of that person or being. And an example that they used was there was a lady who had a lost cat, and the lady had a piece of the cat's fur. She touched it and she saw that okay. She was like, "Hey, in 2 hours, look underneath the porch of the temple, and you'll see the cat there, or whatever." And so that was like a really cool revelation in that moment of her abilities and stuff, and then her kind of meeting Ryudo, and then learning that there is some type of connection between her mom and his mom because at some point in the past, Ryudo's mom saved Aki's mom way back in the day. So I'm very curious to learn more context and details into what that situation was and stuff. And forgive me if they maybe had explained it in the volume. I might have forgot because a lot of stuff happened in these three volumes. But yeah, so we kind of start to see these two working together. They end up breaking the hex, and Ryudo gets his memories and stuff back. And then they basically start their journey to go and track down Suki and everything. And of course, along the way, the people who took Suki, they kind of get a signal that Ryudo has broken the hex and might have an idea of where they are. So they send these different assassins and people to try to go and take him out. And it was just kind of like cool seeing this like variety of different characters kind of coming in with these different abilities. It was like a group of like not I don't know if I would say musical performers, but some type of like artistic performers that could turn invisible and stuff. And so that was kind of cool seeing them figure out how to take them down, or at least like get them out the way. And then they end up encountering this young lady named Madara, who has the ability to control bugs. And so, like, one thing that I like is that these different characters that we're meeting or whatever, we're kind of like getting to also see bits and pieces of these various characters, backgrounds, and stories. And so we kind of get to see the kind of messed up situation with Madara and her birth because, like, she, kind of basically came out the womb with bugs and stuff coming out of her or whatever. And so, yeah, it was seeing some kind of crazy, messed up stuff, whatever. And of course, learning through these different volumes that, a lot of these people sometimes awaken their abilities at different points. And a lot of these people, because, people with abilities and stuff, whatever, aren't really well known about. And so they kind of tend to live in very poor conditions and stuff because they get, called cursed beings and try to get hunted down or seen as, witches or whatever. And that's kind of what this Madara chick ended up going through. But one thing about like her ability or just like seeing how she was using her ability with all these different various bugs and insects and stuff to fight Ryudo, and kind of starting to see throughout all these interactions, whatever, Ryudo starting to awaken his ability to where when he gets like very angered or whatever, seeing him start to uh, gain control of his ability to where it's not just where he can't just touch metal objects, but to where he can actually kind of like telekinetically in a way control metal objects and stuff, kind of like a Magneto in a sort of way. And seeing that kind of start to pop out during their fight, and seeing how him and Aki kind of team up together to take out Madara because through different things happening, and Ryudo kind of like snapping and blacking out or whatever, he ends up you know cutting off Madara's arm, and so she gets away, goes into hiding, and so Aki ends up touching her arm and kind of gets a visual picture of where she is hiding out in the woods and stuff, whatever, and kind of helps Ryudo like control this metal blade in the air and just like, hey, just toss it in that direction. Ends up taking her out. But yeah, man, like I'm really enjoying the setup and seeing all this stuff kind of start to slowly unfold with like a bigger picture and stuff. And there's even a moment where I can't remember the full context of it. Actually, let me see if I can check real quick. Okay. Yeah, so I just double checked or whatever. So yeah, so there was a moment at the end of volume 3 where after they killed Madara, and they're trying to escape whatever, there's a guy that I believe that Ryudo had helped out back in volume 1 and stuff. This guy has the ability to read minds and stuff. And so a very interesting thing happens where, for some reason, as they're escaping, Aki starts like her ability starts to kind of go kind of crazy, and she ends up seeing like way, 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 way into the future, like seeing like skyscrapers and all this new technology and all this stuff, whatever, and obviously freaking out. And so, because this other character can read minds, he is also seeing what she's seeing. So both of these characters was like, "Yo, what is happening?" And so after all this, this is where they end up meeting the Tengu guy. Okay, okay. The Tengu guy name is Katsumatsu, and the mind reader guy is Bo Botatsu or something like that. But but either way, what was I saying? But yeah, so they end up encountering him. But while that is happening, we kind of go back to where Suki is with these guys who, like I said, like they're trying to use her ability to free something. I'm not 100% for sure like what this deity or thing is, but they're trying to use her ability to free this thing. And so we kind of get like our first like really good look at what her ability is, because near this like sealed boulder or whatever, there's a bunch of like bones and stuff of like some animals, and so that's where it's revealed that basically her ability more or less reverses time within a certain radius of her. And so you kind of, but you get to see like the extent of it to where you see the bones revert back to, like, example, one of them was a deer. So you see the bones fully reform back to the adult deer, but then her power keeps going, and then that deer continues to revert to where it's now going back to being a baby deer and then a fetus and then just gone. And so Dosuke, he's nearby. He's not in the direct radius, but he's close enough where he kind of like sticks his hand within her radius, and he had like a cut on his hand, and then like the cut reverses and goes away and gets healed and stuff. And so that's where it's like, yo, okay, she has a very strong ability. And I'm gonna try to find this panel. Yeah, so there was like this very cool panel that I loved because it showed both Suki and Aki, and it's like, yo, like both of these ladies have like some very cool abilities. One of them can see the future, and the other one can freaking reverse time. And that's another thing I just want to touch on real quick. Like, I love these panels and these spreads we get where just like the volume covers, where it's like the kind of like really detailed, almost photorealistic drawings in the background, and then we get another character kind of like in more of like the actual manga art style and stuff in the forefront. And this was another really dope one that I loved that was just so good. Uh, but yeah, this artist, like she is fantastic um, at the work and stuff that she does. But but yeah, so like I said, all this stuff just kind of just like interweaving together, and then the kind of like final parts of volume four, like I said, like where we meet the Tengu guy, and then kind of learn more of his backstory because obviously Ryudo is like, okay, where the heck are we? Like, why did we get stuck into this jar? And why are you helping us or whatever? And we basically learn that this guy was basically the teacher slash the mentor of Haratake, who seems to be kind of getting set up as kind of like the main antagonist of the series because he was a child who inherited a great ability, which his ability basically allows him to switch the yin and yang of things. Which, for example, he can turn water into fire. He can turn rocks back to dust. Um, there was a test that the Tengu dude did with him in a cave, where he basically like just dropped him into this cave into pitch darkness or whatever, and he started thinking and learning how to do stuff on his own. And then you see him, he hears drops of water. So, okay, there's a portal nearby. He ignites it on fire, gets a stick, lights a torch, and then he gets to this split path within the cave, and he sees a bunch of leaves on the ground. So he's like, okay, clearly some wind must have brought these leaves in. And so he picks up a leaf, and then he basically reverses the gust of wind back outside the cave to find the path to get back out. And so it's like, okay, that's when he started to kind of like see like the early signs of like, oh, this kid is like really gifted. But as time went on with the teachings or whatever, then the kid kind of started taking some of the ideas and teachings and stuff, whatever, from his master and kind of twisting them in a way to where there was a situation where some, I guess, some people, some poor people who were ability users or whatever were getting abused and mistreated by some guys. And so he ends up having his guards capture these people, and he ends up torturing them. And one of the guys, he ends up taking the light out of their eyes, which basically making them blind. Uh, and so it was like, yo, like this kid is like super OP with his abilities and stuff, whatever. And so that's kind of where things are at right now at the end of volume four as we get ready to head into volume five. And so, yeah, like I said, it was a lot. I hope everything I said was making some type of logical sense. But yeah, I am really enjoying this series, and I am kind of glad that I did wait and these let these chapters and stuff build up the way I did, because I think this series is solid cuz like that first volume was just like really attention grabbing with, like I said, just even just the notion of, yo, why is this guy like, why is metal bending or reflecting whenever it gets near him or whatever? Even just like that initial setup premise was strong enough for that first volume where you're kind of like, okay, there's more people out here doing stuff and more ability users and yada yada yada. But the rest of it, like I said, was good, but I think it was even better getting to read freaking 25 chapters in in a short span. So so I highly encourage y'all out there to check this one out, and to revisit it if you've only read volume one. Hopefully you've read more than that, otherwise you're spoiled. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, I really like the variety of characters and their different abilities, and kind of seeing all these characters kind of like interweaving and being connected in a way. Because, like I said, this character that Ryudo helped back out in volume one, that seemed to just be a random character, came back full circle a couple volumes later to help them out and stuff. So yeah, so that was a lot to cover, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is definitely something that I hope to continue to do, going forward, as far as getting to touch on different series that I might have reviewed at one point in time. But I think it's also important to kind of, when time is permitted or whatever, because obviously I'm life is very busy, but I do think it would be nice to just kind of revisit stuff, even if it's like once every few volumes or whatever. Especially on a series like this that I really enjoy, just to, because I'm pretty sure there's probably somebody out there that's been reading it and don't have many people to talk to or much other conversation about it and stuff. So I hope to be that beacon of conversation for this and many other series that I kind of have plan to either check out for the first time, or even some stuff that I definitely want to circle back to and revisit. So, but with all that being said, thank you so much for watching and or listening. As always, you can find me everywhere at Danny's Talk, where I do individual discussions like this, as well as full podcast episodes talking about everything from fatherhood and family to manga, anime, TV shows, movies, and video games. And as I always say, treat yourself to something nice, read some manga, watch some anime, TV shows, and movies, play some games, and live your best life. And with that, I am out. Let me know what y'all think of Still of the Celestial Shadows. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be easy. Peace.